Hi everybody, this is Kevin over at Gameology, and I'm here today to give you our review of the brand new Codex Adeptus Mechanicus. And I'm going to go through some of the cool new units as well as weapons and features that they have. I'm also going to give you a breakdown of the new strategies that I think will work really well with this army, so let's go ahead and get started. First up is going to be the Cult Mechanicus Battle Congregation. This is the formation for the Machine Cult. This seems to be very different from the standard formations where you only get one HQ, which must be a Tech Priest Dominus, as they're the only HQ option in the book. It's also still the only HQ option for the Adeptus Mechanicus since the Scutari Codex didn't have any at all. There's a mandatory 2 troop choices with up to 6 more, meaning you can bring an entire tide of the Catafron units with up to 12 models in each for a ridiculous amount of shooting power. You get up to 4 elite choices, all optional for the Electro Priests to go chasing down enemies all over the battlefield. 2 drawbacks are, there's only 2 heavy support options and no Lords of War, although you can counter the lack of heavy support options by adding additional units to the Castellan robot maniples, which I'll get to in a bit. Many players in my area are going to be a little bit upset that this detachment has no room for a Lord of War, as a lot of them do like taking Imperial Knights as Lords options. Now they will just have to ally with them using a second detachment slot. The only time this matters is when you're in a competitive environment that restricts the number of detachments available. Meaning, if you want to have the Machine Cult in your army, you're either taking up a Lord of War slot from another Codex formation for that super heavy, or simply doing without. With the Tech Priest Dominus, he has the Masters of Machinability. This can be really scary when attached to certain units or vehicles. Some tanks that can lay down some long-range firepower are hard to get rid of. This ability can pair up pretty well with a heavy Centurion unit from the Space Marines Codex, since all the Centurions have 2 wounds, as well as a super heavy. An Imperial Knight or one of the several Baneblade variants get that much harder to kill. The Dominus has some amazing shooting and can fire all of his weapons each turn. He also has Feel No Pain with 3 wounds, so he's extremely difficult to get rid of. Although the max range of any of his guns are 24 inches, so you will need to get fairly close if you want him to shoot. Otherwise, you can park him in the middle of a squad to heal up models or to use as war gear. The Auto Caduceus of Arcan land seems like a mandatory upgrade if you're going to attach him to a super unit, giving everybody in that unit it will not die. With so many troop slots in this detachment and only the Catafrons to choose from, you have the ability to really decide what type of shooting you want to focus on. Or with 8 total troop slots, you can really fill in as a great ally to another army. The Catafron Breachers are a great anti-tank unit and can potentially put the hurt on a super unit with lots of wounds and really good armor saves. The heavy arc rifle with 2 shots and haywire can rip vehicles down pretty quickly, and the torsion cannon is a free swap out which is strength 8 AP1 that does die 3 wounds or hull points when it hits. It does have a shorter range, but it can definitely tear some larger units or vehicles apart. In melee, they're very dangerous as well. The built-in Arc Claw again has haywire and can be upgraded to a Hydraulic Claw, which can either be a Strength +2 weapon or basically turns into a Power Fist at Strength 10 AP2 but swings on Initiative 1. The Catafron Destroyers are going to be a shooting nightmare. Both the Plasma Culverin and the Heavy Grav Cannons are terrifying. These squads are going to be natural must-kills if they are on the board. You may want to consider joining these units with Psychers from an allied detachment to boost them with psychic powers like invisibility to make them that much harder to get rid of. If you want to add some melee flair to your army, these life force draining freaks are just the thing you need. The Electro Priest units both have Feel No Pain and are zealots, so you have to bring them down to the last model to stop them from being annoying all game long. Unless you have a cheap Fearless unit to lock them in combat the entire game. Chaos Cultists may have met their match though, these guys might just be even more crazy. The Fulgurites can possibly get their invul save brought up from a 5+ to a 3+, so you'll want to whittle this squad down a bit before they can get engaged in a hand-to-hand. The Electro Leech Staff can hit very hard and is strength 5 and can instant death on a 6. They are also only initiative 3, but some of the Canicles can be combined to make these guys really scary. The Corpuscari are great brawlers with the shock ability in their gauntlets and can get lots of hits in the enemy, forcing lots of armor saves. They're a bit expensive though. 18 points per model for only being toughness 3 with a 5-up invul save makes them very fragile. This may be a good distraction unit to force your opponents to fire on them for a turn while your real threats get into position and can do more damage. If you haven't seen Big Hero 6 yet, here's some friendly motivation from the guys at Games Workshop to go do it. These units are incredibly intriguing. The Castellan robot maniples have a very good defensive ability, making them tough to deal with. They are toughness 7 and have a 3-up armor save and a 5-up invul. If you did not give your Dominus the Auto-Caduceus of Arcan land war gear, you may want to consider one of your Cybernetica datasmiths for it. They also have the Castellan battle protocols and start the game with the one active already that gives them feel no pain. It's a nice bonus to keep them around if you don't go first. The repulsor grid also has a chance to lightsaber back a shooting attack on them from an enemy. It only works on a 6 after a save has gone off, so don't expect it too often, but it is a pretty cool ability. Other than survivability, this unit has some serious offensive capability. First off, you need to decide, do you want them to go melee or ranged? I'm leaning personally towards the ranged, being able to replace the Power Fist with the twin-linked heavy phosphor blaster and having another one on top. So that's 6 36-inch range, strike 6, AP 3 shots each turn, and 9 shots if you're using the Protector protocol. With the melee variant, you're going to rush them across the battlefield to get in a hand-to-hand with the Conqueror protocol to give them 4 Power Fist attacks in melee, and using their Incendiine Combustor to do some more damage before getting there. Furthermore, if you like this unit and you are already planning on keeping the Dominus in the unit, then you'll want to take the Cohort Cybernetica formation. You want to take an extra datasmith or two to direct the shooting at separate targets, allowing you to potentially eliminate several enemy units with one shooting attack. The Elimination Maniple is going to be vicious. It gives another army that has the ability to remove cover from an enemy and gives other units targeting that squad +1 ballistic skill. It's a great combo again with the shooting of the Castellans. If you are planning on going the Electro Priest route, then the Numinous Conclave is a great choice. Keep in mind that you do have to keep your units close together to get the benefits, and you will need either 4 or 6 units of priests, so you are dedicating a lot of resources to melee. The Holy Requisitioner formation seems like an expensive and potentially risky way to take an objective. You're putting a lot of points into reserve just to deep strike in. If you're worried about opponents taking them out before they get a chance to fire, this can be a good option. Just keep in mind, if you're playing in a tournament with this formation, you must put them in reserve each game. It's not an option for this particular formation. The Warlord traits are all good. The Laird Psalm code is an interesting combination with the Skyr Skull Perspicatus, allowing you to identify mysterious objectives and choosing what they're going to be, giving all of your units Skyfire and cover bonuses, and potentially making them blow up on your enemies. It's not too powerful since your Warlord trait is random, but it could be a fun thing to do if you're thinking about using that war gear anyway. The Canticles of Omnissa are one of the key elements to this army. You get to pick a special ability each turn for each unit with this rule. Although it is best to pick the same one for everyone, if you're leaning towards the shooting army here, you're going to want to use the Benediction of Omniscience in the first round, and then use it again per the formation special rule to where you can get the shooting rerolls in the beginning of the game when most of your units are still around. The other Canticles are mainly based around melee, making seemingly underpowered Electro Priests terrifying. With any new army comes a variety of new weapons and war gear. Some key things that they have is access to grav weapons, plasma variants, and lots of interesting shooting options. Each gun has its own special rule, which can make this a very annoying army for some opponents. Just make sure as you're shooting you have a copy of the Codex open to the correct page ahead of time. It may save you a headache or two after having to explain each gun over and over and over until this army becomes staple in your group. I touched briefly on a few of the Arcane Mechanicum. None of them are bad. Just really depends on what you want to do in the game. I would recommend getting It Will Not Die first for one unit and your Warlord. After that, the Mask of the Alpha Dominus may be a good option if you really need to switch to Feel No Pain quickly. Although it does seem annoying that you have to never use the old protocol again, giving up on super shooting or super melee for the rest of the game. I hope you enjoyed our review today of the brand new Codex. For ordering information, you can email us at gameologystaff@googlegroups.com, and you can also follow us on Facebook at Gameology. Please also subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the videos, and comment on them. Again, I hope you enjoyed the review. Thank you for watching, and have a great time gaming.